Path Media. I was a minimum wage movie theater usher that made good and became a top earner in my network marketing company. Now, after 16 plus years in the profession, I'm finally teaching myself how to leverage the internet with online marketing and social media marketing to continue to grow and expand my business. My name is Ronnie Cruz, and this is Path of the Network Marketer.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about the iterative process of growth. I wanted to talk about this today, iterative process. It's a hard word to pronounce, first of all, so I'm going to say it as much as I can in this episode so that I can get good at saying it, because I feel like it's incredibly important to all of our growth. When we look at something new, when we're considering taking on a new venture or adding a new strategy to our online marketing or to our business, sometimes we can get overwhelmed at the enormity of these undertakings, right? Because we see things from a big picture, not having done any of it before. If it's new, we see all the things that we feel like we have to do, and we can easily be overwhelmed by that. So if we look at it from the iterative growth perspective, we can take it one small bite at a time, right? We can take it one baby step at a time, so that then we're not overwhelmed, right? It helps us alleviate that overwhelm and actually make progress towards the goal and the outcome, as opposed to being stuck in paralysis because of that overwhelm. Now, I want to use myself as an example, because in looking back at the last 100 plus days, since we started this podcast, I realized that there are very distinct moments where I can trace taking that next little baby step. And it's not so much that, you want to take, baby steps that are safe and comfortable. You definitely want to continue to push yourself further and further into your, out of your comfort zone, but not so far that, again, you push yourself into overwhelm and paralysis. Again, it's just one baby step at a time. And so looking back at my journey, we're at like 113, 114 days. Going back to day one, what I did was I started with audio only, right? I really focused in on just making sure that I released a podcast episode every day, because, to me, that was already a huge task, right? That was a huge undertaking. That was a huge undertaking because I had never done it before. And so that's what I focused on. I just recorded an audio version and make sure that I was publishing every day. Once I got accustomed to that, I then took the next baby step, pushed myself just a little bit further outside of my comfort zone, and I added video to the process. I figured, well, if I'm doing, an audio version of the podcast, I can just as easily record it on video first, use the audio for the podcast, and then use the video for YouTube. And so that's what I did. I started adding video, and it became a process. I started getting used to it, and a couple weeks went by, and then I was good with that. I was, again, super comfortable with it. I took then the next step to push myself, again, outside, just a little bit outside of my comfort zone. Baby steps along the way. The next step in the process was that I started then taking the video version of the show and cut it into smaller bite-sized, manageable reels for my other social media platforms like YouTube, not YouTube. Well, yeah, I am using it on YouTube for the shorts, but I'm also using it for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, right? These shorter, like 30, 40-second clips of the longer version video, I now have, assets for those other platforms. And so that took a couple weeks to get used to and get into kind of a groove of that process of editing the video and chopping it all up and all that stuff. And now that I'm used to that, I'm ready to kind of step into that next baby step, right? Pushing myself just a little bit further out of my comfort zone. And if you follow me at all on any of the socials, you'll see that I'm starting to do that, right? Now that I'm comfortable with the podcast, with the YouTube version of the podcast, and with the short form clips that I cut out of the YouTube videos, I'm able to now expand what I'm doing on my social medias, right? Because I've reached a point where I'm comfortable with my current process. Now I can add just a little bit more to that. And what I've started doing on my Instagram and Facebook is adding more posts, right? One of the things I recognize with Instagram is that it doesn't like repetition that much. It likes variety. So it rewards you when you switch things up a little bit every now and then. And so I've started adding, quotes to my Instagram page, and of course I'm sharing that as well on my Facebook. The next thing that I'm considering that I haven't yet quite dove in, and I know I've talked about this in the past. The next thing I'm considering is going live every day on Facebook, right? Like one of the things, and people still talk about this. The gurus and the marketing experts still say that going live on Facebook every day can really help boost your exposure and grow your audience. So I'm definitely considering, at the very least, running an experiment of going 45 days live, right? Every day, going live every day for 45 days, just to see if that is a viable tactic, right? If that's a viable, if that's a viable strategy to help expand my marketing, to help expand my content publishing. So if you trace it back, it's been just a iterative process. Yeah, it seems slow, or it feels like you may feel like you're not making any progress. But I like taking stock. Again, we did that at when we reached 100 episodes. We took stock of the entire journey, and we looked at okay, here's the places that growth has happened, and it's just fun to do. And you'll realize that every step of the way, then okay, now I'm actually comfortable with where I am. It's time to expand into that next baby step, right? So the iterative process, really apply it to what you're doing, to number one, again, alleviate the overwhelm and therefore paralysis, and then also number two, to help you expand and move forward into the progression of your growth, whether it's for your marketing, and you can actually apply this to anything, right? To your health, to your relationships, to your personal development. It's a wonderful process, and if you really harness the power of it, the power of this principle of iterative growth, you can make a lot of progress in a relatively short period of time. I mean, 100 days, in the grander scheme of things, is not that long, right? It's 3 months and change. And so here I am making massive leaps forward when you look at it compared to 100 days ago. And then, that not to mention 12 months ago, we're about to move into the new year. And if you look at what your past year has been, what 2022 has been, have you grown, or are you still doing the same thing? And regardless of the answer, it's probably time to implement iterative growth. So that's going to be the topic for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you're not already following me on any of the socials, on Instagram and TikTok, I am the Ronnie Cruz. Facebook, it's Ronnie Cruz 11. And of course, I want you to join us on in our Facebook community, facebook.com/group/path of the network marketer. More stuff there. As I've mentioned before in the past, I do go live there every couple of days, or at least a few times a week. So you're going to get more content there, more value there that will help you on your content publishing and your online marketing journey. So that's going to do it for today. Tune in tomorrow for more. Until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.